Hello, everyone. Importantly, this really shows how autonomous it is as we move from level 4 to level 5. This is going to be a game changer for Tesla, and I think they'll show it on Cybercap and the roll up by the end of next year. I think this will be a reality in some cities. And I think when you start to look at per mile and miles driven, I think this is a new chapter for Tesla. Don't just shrug your shoulders. I think this is a game changer. I just look at FSD, look at autonomous relative to cars, the road. This is not just for Tesla, it's RV, that they're ultimately going to OEM this technology. And when you look at even some of the numbers out there, we could be talking about 10, 20 billion annually per year that they're starting to ultimately deliver when this ultimately gets to Scout. And I don't view this necessarily as a massive threat to Uber, but just look what Uber did ride share. So I think when we look at the broader market here, ultimately, the software driven and the margins I view this will be a day we look back at 3-4 years from now that actually start to change the next phase of the Tesla story. And to me, it's really okay what's time to pull now. Clearly, obviously, you know some of the promises in the past have not worked out here. I think we're talking not just by the end of the next year, but what's the ramble of next few years? 3 to 4 years, what could that mean in terms of for the fleet 6 million cars out there, potentially 8 or 10 over the next few years? What ultimately does that mean? This is pure margins. This is really building out a whole new business for Tesla. And I think we could be at something based on our math 3-4 years out. This could be 20-30% overall profits. Oh, look, David's question about the cost per mile is something I expect to hear about. And it's important to know what we're looking at. Regulators are the biggest problem, and I think that's something that they'll have to work hard at on the federal level. But I think that's something that they'll be able to get through over the next 12 to 24 months. I think that's what's important tonight. Not just the technology, but also the roadmap for Tesla's impressive growth, so that Tesla bulls and people who are always on the lookout for the next stock market gem can get involved. Seeking Alpha has everything you need to know about Tesla, price of Tesla stock. If you click on one of the affiliate links in the description and make a purchase, target Tesla innovation and everything Elon Musk says, our channel may get a fee. This is very important for 2 reasons. In our opinion, Tesla's #1 goal for the next few years is to work with China on data issues related to the AI work they are doing. They needed China for this. Some investors didn't think this would happen for the next year, but Musk was able to build a factory in China. Giga needs Tesla as much as Tesla needs China because they're both one of the best brands in the world, which is why they let this happen with B as a partner. It's so important that Tesla almost had one hand behind its back, not having FSD in China, but now they have it, and I think that demand is starting to recover in China. I'm not saying it will happen in the next week or 2, but betting against Musk is like betting against Brunson in the playoffs. One, if you look at TSA China, it expands the 10 things they can do from autonomous, not just in the next 6 months, especially with B. Where does this go over the next 3 to 5 years? When I think about Robux, I think of the autonomous vision. Second, this shows that Musk and China's relationship is getting stronger, which is good for the stock. That's important because, as we all know, this has been the biggest overhang here. That's why the Tesla bears, who have won so far this year, are now going back into their caves to hibernate. But I think the most important thing is that this is a bigger picture. And I think for China, this is almost a shot across the bow at the US in terms of FSD. They could see them on the fast track compared to what's happening here. And Tesla is the golden goose. They're going after China, they needed FSD. It's a key part of the long-term story. And when you see the stock go up, I think it's just the beginning of something bigger. Yes, I think it's all of those things. Musk is the most followed person in the world, and his trip to Beijing wasn't just for a photo op. That's what China wants, just like they want to strengthen their relationship with Apple. When you look at FSD, they're going to double down on that, and you can't double down on FSD without Tesla, which is why I think Musk went there on a surprise visit this weekend and came back with a huge win. In the long term, there is still a chance for EVs to fully self-driving and autonomous. But let's be honest, this is a real train wreck. If you look up train wreck, you'll see a picture of Tesla's first quarter. I think the biggest problem is delivery. How do you turn the trend around? That's why I think this is a fork in the road. Musk can either turn things around by lowering prices and putting in place a plan, or David will be here in 3 or 4 cores. And I think this is a turning point and the start of what could be some dark days ahead. I think you need to lay out the plan. Okay, what are the prices? What are the cuts going to look like? When will the new models be out? How much of the revenue could software make? What's the AI roadmap right now? It's basically playing DS without a controller, and there isn't really an adult in the room. The conference calls we've had here have been terrible, so investors are hoping that what's on the other side of this now, in terms of growth and the opportunity $30 billion in cash, is an amazing situation. But I'd say this is probably the darkest time in the last 5 years compared to what we're seeing in China this quarter. 34% of cars are EVs, which means they are fully self-driving. Some might say that could be worth $1 trillion in terms of software, the China story. You know how much it costs. Cuts are starting to level off. The last week of the quarter was good, so there is some hope. I still think you could be close to 2 million units for the year, but this quarter there's no way to see the bright side. Even whisper numbers called 415K, 386 a disaster. Supply would be dogged to homework. You could call it $30,000 and explain it in a press release, but in reality it's demand. And I think the problem here, SAR, is that you're either going to cut prices or, more likely, you're going to hold serve and focus on what you can do to hold margins and where volumes could go. But do you know who else shares Tesla's optimism? That would be today's sponsor, Seeking Alpha. Seeking Alpha has the most news about Tesla than any other site on the web. To get the most up-to-date price targets for Tesla's offerings, click the affiliate link in the summary below. Innovation and everything Elon Musk. So I think the AI party just started. It goes until 4 a.m. because everything we're seeing from a software and demand point of view is now starting to play out. The Tesla story, autonomous FSD. I would argue that it's one of the best AI plays on the market right now. If you look ahead 2, 3, or 4 years, this is just the beginning of the next chapter, or book. As Musk puts it, the next chapter is in the Tesla Grok, which I think is one of the best disrupt names in the world. This is a disruptive technology company, and I think that's where the bears will say it's a car.